You are Locked On Bulls Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Chicago on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Happy Saturday night. The Bulls win 146-115 over the Los Angeles Lakers, their largest margin of victory ever against the Lakers. What a game this was for so many different guys on the team that we'll get to on today's show. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. All right, so this game is something. This is the best Bulls game of the season now. Before, it was clearly the Knicks game on D Rose night. They played really well. Offensively, defensively, the Bulls played fantastic tonight. This game is littered with individual accomplishments, team accomplishments throughout this game. Just to get this victory, we're going to talk about all of it. Coby White, Giddey, Modest. We're going to talk about the defense a little bit in the second segment more. And honestly, even just like as this game is over now, I'm still like in disbelief now seeing Luka and LeBron on the court at the same time. But this game had a little bit of everything for everyone. Modest Buzelis starts off. We're going to start with him because we're going to start with the young kid first, and then we're going to go to Josh Giddey and Coby White. Modest Buzelis starts this game, immediately bricks his first 2 threes. And the first one is maybe the most insulting play of the night for him. Luka Doncic goes under the screen. They don't guard him at all. He bricks it, and he feels like, okay, this is going to be a continued negative performance for Modest Buzelis. And then he gets Luka in the corner, and he puts the ball behind his back, gets to the hoop, and absolutely embarrasses Luka Doncic, who, like, we know is not like the best defensive player or anything like that, but it was a hell of a play by Modest Buzelis. And in this game, he sets a career high in points, 31 points, his first career game of 30 points or more. He ends up with 12 of 18 from the field, 5 of 10 from the three-point line, only 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal, so he didn't do a lot of the other things in this game. But Modest absolutely went off in the second half. He finally just started cooking in this game. So to start where it did, those 2 missed threes and the disrespect that Luka showed him on the first one, to end where it did is phenomenal. That's story number 1. Story number 2, and really it's just because I wanted to focus on Modest first, the real story of the night is Josh Giddey. A near quadruple-double in this game. Josh Giddey ends this game with 15 points, 17 assists, 10 rebounds, and 8 steals. That was a phenomenal performance from Josh Giddey. This is where, like, in these games where he's been out, before the injury and then missing the last game, you see the Bulls are missing the guy who's going to distribute the ball. Coby White is fine at it, but it's so clear he's a better shooting guard than a point guard. But Josh Giddey attacking the rim constantly. But then what he brought defensively in this game was so massive. And to think that he was near quadruple-double, I mean, he was just phenomenal in this game. Really doing pretty much whatever he wanted to at any given point. We didn't see a ton of three-pointers from him tonight, which I prefer still. Like, I know Giddey can hit them, but he only took 2 of them. But just any time he wanted to, it felt like, even though he didn't have a massive amount of points in this game, he was getting to the rim, and the guys around him were just knocking down shots. And we know the Bulls are this ultimate hot or cold team this year. Like, when they're hitting shots, they're winning basketball games, and when they're not, they're getting blown out of games pretty consistently. And we've seen a lot of the mixed bag. Remember, 6 times this year, the Bulls have been down by 17 points or more in a basketball game and have won this year. Josh Giddey tonight is a huge reason why that didn't happen. Even when the Bulls were up by 10 and the Lakers closed the gap at the end of the first half, it's Josh Giddey in the second half that's really the one who pushes this thing over the edge and just blows out the Lakers. And Luka was, speaking of guys that were phenomenal, Luka Doncic was unconscious in the first half. He was unbelievable. He had 7 threes in the first half, 29 points. That guy, I cannot believe the Dallas Mavericks traded him. There's a Mavericks reporter named Kevin Gray that I follow. He's a good Mavs reporter. If you ever need good Mavs content for any reason, thinking of offseason who the Bulls could trade to Dallas and maybe swindle Nico Harrison with. He's kind of turned into this like Luka reporter as well. And seeing him tweet throughout this game, throughout the first half of what Luka was doing against the Bulls, I mean, he was hitting threes, but like everyone he took, he was closer to the logo at half court than he was to the three-point line. Just absolutely unconscious. So to weather that storm also, I think, says a lot about the Bulls in this game. Now, look, We know what they are. They're still the 9 seed. They're closing the gap now after this win. They're 3-2 on this road trip so far on this six-game West Coast road trip. So they're playing good basketball. They were talking about there at the end of the broadcast. They could have beat the Houston Rockets and could really be looking at a 4-1 road trip right now, but they just let that game get away from them. But Luka was unconscious, and as much as he was unconscious in the first half, so was Coby White. Coby White, 12 straight games now with 20 points or more. Again, a phenomenal night shooting from Coby. And a lot of these games, too, on this stretch, what's so interesting is he's been pretty terrible from the three-point line a lot of times. Tonight, he's 6-9 from the three-point line, 12-17 overall, and he scores 36 points, leading the way for the Bulls. He was just getting whatever he wanted to. You know, 6 of the first Bulls' 9 points tonight came from Coby White attacking the rim. They keep talking about this on the broadcast all year. We've talked about it a lot on this show. I know the Locked On Bulls guys have as well. When he's attacking the paint, it's just a different level for Coby White because he's just so good at getting through contact and he's so fast as well. So he can just move at any given notice. It feels like getting to the rim. I think there's a commonality here, if that's a word, it's midnight, between Josh Giddey and Coby White. When the Bulls offense is at its best, I think it's so clear it's those two guys running downhill and going to the rim. It's why this entire season I've been baffled by this idea that they had to be a three-point shooting team when they would just put out nights where we're on record watch of most missed threes of all time or in a single game. The Bulls have been close to that mark 3 or 4 times this year. And you look at points in the paint tonight, the Chicago Bulls, 74 points in the paint. The Los Angeles Lakers, 42. Points off turnovers tonight is the other reason why the Bulls really dominated this game, is that they got 27 points off of turnovers. The Lakers turned the ball over 21 times. Yes, Josh Giddey got 8 steals himself, so it's not just him. It was a team effort overall by the Chicago Bulls. And shout out to you guys in the chat. Brandon says, such a great game. Absolutely. It was fun. Like, if you're going to make us stay up late for West Coast games, like, you got to make them entertaining at least. It's 12 o'clock and we're doing a postcast show. So if you're going to do that, like, you make them fun. And tonight was a lot of fun. So Coby White, Josh Giddey, all of these guys were, Modest Buzelis, of course, were fantastic in this game. This game was a lot of fun. And it's interesting, too, like, now their last 2 wins. The Kings are obviously not a great basketball team, but they're a playoff team. And look at the Bulls, what they've done recently. They've beaten a lot of bad teams. And, like, that's why some of this feels like fool's gold as they have moved up into the standings. And it's hard for people to buy all the way in. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm bought in on the Chicago Bulls. But tonight's game is fun because you beat a team that has LeBron James returning, that has Luka, that has Austin Reeves, who's a lot of fun to watch too. And they went out there and they battled for 4 quarters, and the Bulls got the win tonight. This was a good game for the Chicago Bulls, obviously. Easiest statement of the night. All right, before we get to break, let's get a couple things checked off our list today. Let's get to our Locked On Player of the Game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
This is an interesting one. Feel like we could go 3 options here. Modest Buzelis, career high, 31 points. Coby White, 12 straight game. As we just went over all of this, 12 straight game with 20 points or more. He drops 36, but it's got to be Josh Giddey. A near quadruple-double, 15 points, 17 assists, 10 rebounds, 8 steals. He is absolutely the locked-on player of the game tonight as the Bulls beat the Lakers 146-115 and move to 31-40 on this season. All right, one more thing before we go to break. Let's get to our turning point of tonight's game.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
I'm going to highlight Modest Buzelis here. So the Lakers get this thing back to within reason. It's 65-62 at the end of the first half. Luka Doncic has 29. Austin Reeves has 16. But in the second half, Modest Buzelis back-to-back threes. That second three put the Bulls up 75-76. That to me feels like the moment of the game where the Bulls really ran away with it at that point, where they just started to take off. Everything was working offensively for them at that point. So those back-to-back threes from Modest Buzelis to me are the turning point of tonight's over the Los Angeles Lakers. All right, let's talk more about this defense and some of the other things we saw. Because we also saw positive moments from guys like Patrick Williams and Kevin Huerter and Nikola Vucevic in this game. We'll get into all that next here on the Locked On Bulls postcast and the Locked On Sports Chicago YouTube channel. Today's show brought to you by FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories to even who's cutting down the nets. My bracket destroyed, so the only way to really enjoy March Madness right now, it is on FanDuel. But the Houston Cougs are the team for me that I've been watching for this tournament, the team that I have winning it all. Good win tonight for them over Gonzaga. So visit FanDuel.com and get on all the college hoops action all tournament long. All right, Brandon here says in the chat, I can't believe they are winning games like this. I know. This season, never thought we'd get here. From the trade deadline to leading up to the trade deadline, specifically with how bad it was for the Bulls. I mean, they were playing terrible basketball leading into the trade deadline. I think that's what led to the extra frustration. Not that we didn't all have a right to be frustrated with the way they handled it by not trading Vooch and Lonzo Ball and only trading Zach LaVine. But they were playing bad basketball. And now, even if they're not going to be anything, they're not going to be like a threat in the playoffs. We all know that. But they've been fun to watch, and the offense has gotten so much better post Zach LaVine. And I hate to try to pinpoint it on him, because I do love Zach LaVine as the basketball player. We saw how bad it was against Sacramento. He didn't score until the fourth quarter for the against the Bulls the other night. But the Bulls offense has just been so much better without him on the court, and they're not taking as many threes. Josh Giddey has been a much better ball distributor. Coby White has really, really fell into his role as the shooting guard on this team. Modest Buzelis, yes, it's been rough the last 2 to 3 weeks for him, but he has performances like this he's capable of, and just to see it like this as a rookie, and not just 30 points. I forgot to mention this earlier. Modest Buzelis, his 30-point game tonight, 31 points. It's the first 30-point game by a Bulls rookie since Coby White did it. Coby White's been in the league for a minute now. That stat itself is kind of sad in terms of the Bulls' development and drafting of young, skilled basketball players. But Modest, the first Bulls basketball player to drop 30 points in a game as a rookie since Coby White did it. But just this team they've just figured it out offensively. And even though for me, I'm confident it's not going to turn anything into the playoffs. What it does give me hope for as a Bulls fan is it does give me a glimmer of hope that when you think about the future of this team and Modest Buzelis and Coby White, and assuming Josh Giddey's going to be back, I would be stunned if they don't match whatever he gets in free agency. He's going to be a $30 million a year player, especially because of nights like this. Someone, if not the Bulls, immediately will convince themselves of that, and the Bulls will have to match it because there's no point in trading Alex Caruso for only Josh Giddey if you're not going to keep him. But when you think about the future of this basketball team, and where things can go, you see the foundation of a core, and games like this just highlight it because of what those three guys did on the court tonight. So even though, yes, it's just a fun basketball game, it's regular season, LeBron's coming off an injury, hasn't played in weeks, doesn't mean anything in the big picture, I don't know. But it does make me excited to think about what could be. This stretch of Bulls basketball, the last 2.5 weeks, has at least given me that back. And I feel like that's something Bulls fans, we've all kind of been missing with this team for years now, is some kind of hope for the future. It always just felt like they're going to be only the 10 seed. They're only going to be a play-in team and play the Miami Heat in the play-in tournament. And yes, that's exactly where they might end up this year. They may not pass Atlanta or Orlando and move up more. But I can see at least the idea of what the roster is supposed to be and what it could like going forward. Now, we've talked all about those three guys and the great things they did tonight. Defensively, just overall, again, they forced 21 turnovers. The Bulls themselves had 30 fast break points, and they had 27 points off of turnovers. So they were phenomenal in that department. But defensively also, we mentioned Luka Doncic going crazy, 29 points in the first half. He had 5 points in the second half. Yes, he got checked out there for most of the fourth quarter because the game was a blowout, but they shut him down for the most part. LeBron didn't really have a great night, 17 points. Austin Reeves had 19 points at the end of the first half. He only ended up with 25. So they did a really good job just locking down defensively. They outscored the Lakers 39-27 in the third quarter. And that's really where the game obviously blew up at that point for the Los Angeles Lakers. And then they, of course, outscored them 42-26 there in the fourth quarter. But again, a lot of garbage time there. So it doesn't mean as much as the first 3 quarters of the game. But we just saw really good defense overall from this team, from Giddey, from Buzelis. I mean, Modest Buzelis, man, like, talk about throwing a kid into the fire. From the beginning of the season, he's been matched up with Kevin Durant, LeBron James now, Giannis. Every time there is a big-time opponent, he is the guy that, I guess just positionally, it's how it matches up. But you got to think there has to be some kind of confidence from the coaching staff that they want him to be out there against these dominant Hall of Fame basketball players. He's guarded probably a majority of the Olympic roster at this point this season, or a bunch of Olympians if you include guys like Giannis, of course. But he's out there guarding LeBron James tonight, and that was one of my thoughts going into the game when they announced that LeBron was coming back, would be like, would Modest get stuck with that? Because the one thing with Buzelis that we all know is, that's very obvious to anyone with eyes, is he's skinny. He is skinny. And he needs to put on a ton of weight, or at least a good amount of muscle weight this offseason, because if he's going to be tasked with these matchups, he's just got to get a little bit bigger. But he did a fine job tonight against LeBron James. So kudos to him and Coby White and Josh Giddey for their performances tonight. We also saw Patrick Williams go 4 for 7 from the three-point line. That was a sight for sore eyes because he's been on the struggle bus as well recently. So nice to see Patrick Williams hit a couple shots in transition tonight for the Bulls, because that was just as needed, I think, as everything else from Modest. And look, this is a game too where, Nikola Vucevic wasn't a big part of your offense. And I've kind of been beating this drum since, Vuce got hurt and Zach Collins started playing better, is I just want more Zach Collins, because I think we saw again tonight in his limited 18 minutes where the Bulls they move better up and down the court when it's Josh Giddey and Coby White and Modest and Zach Collins on the court than they do with Vooch. And again, kind of like the Zach LaVine thing, not to be too disrespectful, but he just kind of slows the pace down too much for me at this point in the season. I like to see them run and have fun, and that's what the Bulls gave us tonight. All right, one more thing before we wrap up. Let's get to what you'll be talking about after this game.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Talking about Josh Giddey. He had a near quadruple-double. He nearly made NBA history tonight. I can't remember. I think it was the first player with a triple-double and 8 steals since like 1955, I think is what they showed on the graphic, something like that. He was just absurd. Because even when you think the idea of a quadruple-double, I would think like blocks. It'd be like somehow Dwight Howard has 10 assists in a game, or LeBron James has 10 blocks in a game along with points, rebounds, and assists. Not something Josh Giddey would ever felt like he would be in the conversation for, but again, Giddey, Coby, Modest, they were just phenomenal in the Bulls' 146-115 victory over the Los Angeles Lakers. Quick standings check in here before we wrap up the show tonight. The Bulls, obviously, they're the 9th seed. They're now officially 2 games back of the Orlando Magic, who sit at 33-38, while the Bulls sit at 31-40. So, look, that 8th seed, it's in view for the Chicago Bulls. They're right there, and I know that would make the Reinsdorf family happy if they could host a playing game. Honestly, the Bulls are always the 10th seed, so I don't even know what it would take to host a home game, but I'm assuming they would get one if that's the case. So that will do it for us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for checking us out. If you're here for the first time, just a reminder, the audio is available. Locked On Bulls. Look for it, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. These post-game shows go there, as well as the Locked On Bulls Daily Show. So check those out as well. And hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel as well. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you on Monday after the next Bulls game. Peace.